So, more than 2 months after a container ship struck Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, causing its collapse and cutting off access to the city's vital port, the 700-foot wide Fort McHenry Federal Channel has reopened. Joining us now, Maryland Governor Wes Moore. He's a member of the Biden-Harris campaign's National Advisory Board, and we'll really appreciate your being on this morning. Talk first about the impact that had on Baltimore's economy and the speed to which the bridge finally has been reopened.
You know, I remember that first morning when we now saw that a ship that was the size of 3 football fields was now trapped inside the Patapsco River with 6 Marylanders who weren't accounted for and with now tens of thousands of tons of steel that was sitting in the middle of the river, mangled. And we knew that one of the main vehicles for economic activity, not just for Baltimore, not just for Maryland, but for the entire region, was now stuck to a halt. And I remember that first morning when people said that this would take multiple months. Our ports director said people were telling him that this could take up to a year to clear the federal channel with the amount of debris that's sitting in the water. And this morning, I have to tell you, I'm really proud of my state. I'm really proud of the coordination that in Maryland we do big things because we do them in partnership. And now, despite being told this would take multiple months, we now have the full federal channel. We're talking 700 feet by a 50-foot depth that is now allowing ships and traffic and commerce to commence in the city of Baltimore, in the state of Maryland, and also looking at how many people were impacted that during this time, because we're able to work in partnership with the Biden administration, partnership with our local leaders, partnership with the private sector, that tens of thousands of workers who are working at the port who that very morning were afraid that they no longer had a job. The over close to 1,000 businesses, small businesses that work with the Port of Baltimore. We are now able to stand up programs that to be able to support workers, worker retention programs, businesses who said they would not lay off workers. This has been a case study on how to get things done big, how to get things done fast, and the only way you're going to do that is by working together. So I'm incredibly proud that this morning, despite such a tragedy that we saw a little over 2 months ago, that this morning we can say that Baltimore's back, and it's because we decided to work together in this moment.
Governor, good morning. It's good to see you. I think a lot of people saw this news a couple of days ago and looked at their watches and said, wow, that was fast. A couple of months. It made me think it was 1 year ago, right now, actually, that bridge collapsed in Pennsylvania on I-95, and that was back up and running in 12 days. So for all the complaints, and there are many of them, and many of them are valid, about the pace of business inside federal and state governments, how did you get this done, and what lessons can be shared with others?
I think the big thing was that we worked together. You know, I remember my phone rang at 2:02 in the morning that first morning and letting me know that the Key Bridge was now gone. And so immediately we started mobilizing assets, mobilizing the first responders who were on the bridge within minutes, making sure they could stop the flow of traffic. And I have to give them a shout out because they saved countless lives that morning, mobilizing the members of the state police and the divers who within an hour were in the water working to save lives, working with our Department of Transportation who were already coming with rerouting patterns because we knew that people were hours away from waking up and figuring out that the place that they used to be able to get to work, that was now gone. The tens of thousands of port workers who were about to wake up and realize that they did not have a place to go to work, how to make sure that we're supporting the families. And so we let out, I laid out 4 directives that first morning. One was that we had to support the families and give them comfort and closure, the families of the 6 Marylanders we lost. The second was that we had to support those who've been directly impacted by the crisis, and that included the port workers and the first responders and their families. The third was that we had to do everything in our power to reopen the federal channel as quickly as possible. And the fourth is that we have got to fully rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge. And we stayed focused. We did not let anything distract us. We stayed coordinated with both the Biden administration, who've been remarkable, the private sector, who've been tremendous partners throughout, our local leaders. And we know that now that we're coming to the completion of this phase of getting the federal channel reopened, I have the same focus. I have the same diligence on making sure we can accomplish that fourth directive, which is getting the Francis Scott Key Bridge rebuilt.
All right, Maryland Governor Wes Moore, thank you so much for coming on with the update this morning. We appreciate it.